Hey guys, how are you? Good afternoon. Oh my gosh, it has been so long since I've been live just to talk to you guys. Hey Mark, how are you? And today I am just coming on because I'm gonna just let you guys into my world. I think that there's a huge pressure to create content and I love it. I love what's happening with reels and stories and all of these things. And yet sometimes I just got stuff to say and I ain't got a little all the time in the world to be editing and creating and finding sounds and things like that, especially when there are things that I think that we should be talking about just in general. Overall, I feel like conversation is the best way to educate people. And when we share things in snapshots or when we speak in bite-sized comments, it jades the reality and the perspective of really what's going on. So I titled this Tell 'em Why You Mad, Chase, because I rant to myself a lot, right? I'm always talking to myself. And a lot of it comes from the information that I see as a professional in the real estate industry and the information that I see on social media just from spectators. And many of you guys know that my personal mission is to create spaces that restore the soul, inspire the mind, and fund the future. Recently, last week, we had the QL Summit. And the QL Summit is a course that is taught by many instructors across the country. And it was created by the founder of Keller Williams, Gary Keller. So the name of the course is Quantum Leap, and students are able to take this course and really get clarity about their personal mission in wealth building. And when they complete the course, which is a one-day event, they're eligible for one-on-one business coaching or just personal coaching, whatever it is that they are passionate about. And then once they complete that 3-month coaching, they are eligible for up to a $5,000 scholarship. I share this because that's what I was doing last week, and it was amazing. It was incredible. We had over 400 students in attendance, and to be able to unlock just their mindset and the way that they think about building wealth, the way they think about achieving their goals, the way that they think about developing a personal purpose, a personal mission, it's inspiring to watch. A lot of times, I was telling someone that when I first started teaching Quantum Leap in 2015, I thought it was about me being able to share with them my wisdom. And over the years, time and time again, I have realized that I'm actually the student in this room. I just facilitate the questions, yet these young adults have such amazing dreams and goals and visions for themselves. And so it's absolutely inspiring. While I was there, I got a chance to have some pretty high level conversations with people in the real estate industry just about what's happening in the market. And, it's not that I'm not sensitive to what's going on. I think I'm actually just very cognizant of the state of our condition as a culture, as a people, what's going on in the economy. And I'll tell you guys what gets me, because I think that we look at real estate like this airy fairy when all things line up type of decision that we should be making instead of a strategic move, right? So I'm thinking to myself earlier, and I'm, having this conversation with myself, and it's like, I don't like convincing people about real estate. I don't like discussing hypothetical situations. I don't like talking about if was a fifth, because I feel like it's all a distraction. And since 2020, I feel like, and I think that real estate professionals have been used as a defend this, defend that, real estate bubble, interest, blah, 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 whatever the spokesperson of Facebook or internet is saying at the time. Instead of being a resource, right? When I speak to you guys, it's because I study the industry. And so I'm going to tell you where this all started. in 2020, everybody was saying that it wasn't a good time to buy, that the bubble was going to crash, all of these different type of things, right? I was with my uncles the other day, and they're asking me about the housing market. They're talking to me about interest rates. They're saying all of these things like, oh, what do you think? Interest rates are 6% and this, that, and another. And I told one of them, I said, if 2% didn't attract you, then 6% shouldn't scare you, because obviously it's not interest rates that influence your decision. And they were like, oh, right? And it's not that I'm not sensitive. I understand, like, it's a lot, but at the end of the day, I think that we look for reasons not to do something, right? The type of objections that I get in my line of work, if people say things like, well, I don't want to buy a home because I don't know where I'm going to be in the next 5 years. That's fair. Then you rent for 5 years, right? I don't want to buy a home because the bubble's going to crash. No evidence supports this, and yet this is what people say. So then year over year, home prices appreciate, and then interest rates appreciate, and then now affordability goes down. And so now it's like 2 years ago you wanted me to defend why it was a good time to buy. Now all of the variables have changed and you want me to defend why it's a good time to buy. And at the end of the day, I tell people that there's never a wrong time to buy the right piece of real estate. It's a math problem. And so there's no one size fits all answer. If you need a place to live, if you need a primary residence, then it does make sense to invest, especially if you foresee yourself being there for the next 5 years. The way that people get in trouble when it comes in real estate is because it's very like short-term thinking. This is a cost tool. It's a hedge tool, right? And so people talk about the uncertainty of the housing market, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, the real rental market is just as uncertain. I see all of these posts about tenants going through things with their landlords, frustrated with tenants frustrated with rent increases, the uncertainty of, oh, the landlord wants to sell, so now I've got to move. And I'm just sharing you guys what I see. And it's like, I know people say that we're not in, they say things like, oh, this is capitalism, this, that, and another. Regardless of what your belief is about it, this is the world that we live in. You can definitely be, you can definitely be pragmatic about what you believe about how the economy should be, how high gas prices should be, what the cost of food should be, what life should be. But even with all of that, there is a reality that you must face. And whether you do or whether you don't, our reality is it just is what it is, right? So anyways, I'm not trying to ramble, but I am hoping that a message comes across in this live. And the message that comes across is this. While I was with Gary Keller, he said something. He said, only be afraid of your inability to adapt fast enough. There are things in our life that if we would have listened to the whispers, right, it would have saved us from the yells, right? Like, man, I should have applied when this happened. I should have bought when this happened. Everybody looks at real estate like there's this magic timing, like double dutch or something, right? Like, oh, I just got to time it just right. But that's not really how this works. If you're looking at things up close, absolutely, you're going to be able to say, well, I paid, $15,000 more than my cousin who purchased a month ago, and this, that, and another. And real estate, it goes like this. But when you look back 5 years or when you look back 10 years, you'll realize that at the end of the day, you made the best decision at that time. Every real estate market is expensive in the perspective of it all. Everybody wants to talk about real estate like in the 70s, like when home prices were $70,000, like it was easy. But guess what? In the 70s, $70,000 was still a lot of money. So it's not like it was easier, because no matter what time you pick, it's going to be a cost to count, right? And so at the end of the day, all you can do is decide and get better at making decisions, right? You don't rely on your ability to make a decision to time things. I believe that you rely on your own ability to figure things out, to solve things, right? So I'm sharing this because it's a real concern for me. It's a real concern for me. When I look at everything that's happening in the world, I feel bad. I don't have another word to say it. I feel bad, and the main reason is because in absence of ownership, you are vulnerable to the grace and mercy of other people. You over here hoping and wishing and praying that your landlord doesn't increase their rent. Meanwhile, they have their own things to take care of, and they made an investment so that way they could, you know, add cash flow to their portfolio or add wealth to their portfolio. So to me, it's just unrealistic to rely and to bank your life plan on the sympathy of a person that you do not know. I really understand that. And people say, well, Chase, you know, it's not really about what people say, right? I tell people that this is a channel, this is a Facebook page where we talk explicitly about ownership. There are a million other real estate pages. So you don't have to buy into what I'm sharing with you. What I'm saying is that if you follow this page, or if you choose to follow this page, or if you choose to do business with me, I am going to keep your focus on building wealth. Because when things are uncertain, right? What protects us are the decisions that we make to prepare for our future. Right? The stability that we make. And it's not saying that it's always going to be easy. It's just saying that it gives you more options. Right? Homeownership provides you with options. At the end of the day, that's what it does. You can live in it, you can rent it, you can sell it. That's what this is all about. And people say, well, apartments shouldn't cost this much. Why are we talking about that? It's the reality of it all. And I feel like we would rather have conversations that make us feel better about things that are no longer true than have real conversations that make us take action about the reality and where we are today. So here's where I'm going to let you guys know. Every month I send out a newsletter to those that choose to receive it. If you'd like one, you can click on the link in my bio, sign up for the newsletter. Our next one will come out next month. And in that newsletter, I talk about just market updates, right? Well, since I do this letter once a month, I see things because I'm looking at, trends. We're still very much in a seller's market. People say, oh, the market's cooling off and it's about to crash. Okay, if it's 103 degrees outside, if tomorrow it's 101, is it still hot? It's still hot. It might be 2 degrees cooler, but it's still hot. That's what's happening in the real estate market. People are like, oh, homes aren't selling as fast. This is the beginning of a crash. Understand that we got a long way to go before we get to a buyer's market. Buyer's market is anything between 4 to 6 months of inventory. That's actually a stable market. A buyer's market is anything 6 months and above of inventory. What do I mean when I say inventory? What I'm saying is that the amount of time it would take for us to sell all of the available homes on the market. So like if this was a retail store and I had polos, right? And I had a certain amount of polos and I was saying like, oh, we sell about 3 polos a day. Okay, so then if I have 24 polos, then it would take me about 6 days to sell all of the polos, right? But if I'm selling 12 polos a day, then it might take me 1.5 days to sell all the polos, right? Okay, so that's how real estate works, right? You have set amount of homes, and based on the speed in which people are making offers, that determines what the inventory is. So in Houston, because that's where we're headquartered, in Houston, we currently have 1.6 months worth of inventory. That's still a seller's market. But I'll share with you this. Last month, we had 1.4 months of inventory, and the month before that, we had 1.3 months of inventory. So if you were looking at this objectively and just studying the market, what would that imply? It would imply that the speed in which buyers are making offers is starting to slow down. Not crash, just slow down. Why is that happening? Interest rates, because affordability is going down, right? When I say affordability is going down, it's because the higher the interest rate is, the less that you're approved for to buy, because lenders pay you on a payment, not a mortgage price, right? So why is this important? Well, number one, if you're a seller, just know that your window of opportunity, right? You might want to take advantage of this. I'm giving you information for today, June 15th. Now, if you watch this video tomorrow or August or December, then that number might change. And that's why I always say we have to have a conversation. Go on the link in the bio, schedule for a consultation so we can discuss what the market means for you specifically in your neighborhood. See, we have conversations with people who don't live near where we are. People in Florida talking to people in California about the DC market. Those are 3 different places. It's not the same like that. But anyways, me and my tangents. When I share this, what I'm saying is that I'm starting to see a slight yet significant increase in housing inventory. Here's what you need to know about shifts. And a shift is any time that we move from one market to another. So a seller's market to a buyer's market, a buyer's market to a seller's market, right? That's what I mean by a shift. What are we shifting you into? Right? As a professional, I don't talk about the market that we're in today. I'm here to prepare you for the market that's coming. So if you're a seller and you have a home that you've been on the fence about selling, then you should know that as interest rates increase, and today the Fed will make a decision on how many basis points they're going to increase interest rates, meaning what the interest rates are for buyers. As a seller, you need to know that's going to impact the type of offers that they can make on their own. So shifts happen slowly, then suddenly. I could have this conversation with you guys, and I'm seeing it, right? We went from 1.3 to 1.4 to 1.6 months of inventory. Now, if this thing swings, just know we could easily go from 1 month to 2 months to 3 months of inventory. So that means as a seller, you're going to begin to have more conversations or competition as people choose to sell their home. And the more options that buyers have, the more competitive that you have to be as a seller when it comes to making your property more attractive for a buyer to say yes to your home. And that could be in pricing, that could be in presentation, that could be in condition, that could be in closing costs. It all changes, right? So I say this, and this conversation is not so that buyers can say, see, Chase said it. Chase said the market's going to crash. The market is still going to be the market, okay? And the prices are still going to be the prices. Because in the same way, in the same breath that I said that inventory is going up, home prices are still going up. The average home price in Houston right now is $440,000. Last month it was $414,000. The month before that it was $394,000. So again, you have to ask yourself, how long are you willing to wait? How long are you willing to wait? And for about 2 years, I feel like I've been saying that housing is going to get to a point where you don't have an option. Soon, your only option will be to rent. People talk about the housing market crashing as though it's not a reflection of the economy. You expect for one thing to change while all other variables remain the same. So you're expecting that your job and your employment is going to be the same. Oh, by the way, look at all these companies that are doing layoffs, right? You're expecting that your income is going to be the same, that you're going to qualify for the same. If you're a business owner, that your sales are going to be the same. But you're waiting for a market to crash. That's where I get frustrated, because I'm like, you're speaking life into one thing going sour as if it won't influence every other aspect of your life. So I've decided that I'm not doing theory real estate with you guys anymore. Believe what you choose to believe. I recommend that you talk to somebody that actually has a grip on the reality of the real estate market, not spectators that sit on the outside. You know what's very fascinating to me is that during the pandemic, everybody talked about cryptocurrency. I mean, people were like, it's the wave of the future. This is what you need to do. And as cryptocurrency grew, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin in specific. As cryptocurrency grew, Bitcoin grew, it reached all the way to $60,000. People putting all their money into it. Nobody had no questions about that. Now you look at Bitcoin and it's $20,000. So that money that you put in now, it where'd it go? Right? But it's easier for us to chase a shiny object than a proven vehicle. That's why I get frustrated. Because I feel like as realtors, we're expected to defend what we know to be true. You cannot live in your stock portfolio. It's really something that you set it and forget it. You invest in it because you believe in it, and then you look up when you're 80 and you trust that it's going to double, triple, quadruple, 10x in size. But meanwhile, you still need a place to live. And so I'll tell you this. People that bought their home 5 years ago, when you buy your home, you definitely check the values for the first few months, right? You're checking it every day. You're looking to see how much equity that you've got. But then after a while, it's just your home. And it's just where you live. And it's where your payment is protected and your mortgage is expected. And you can pretty much like build a life around this constant fixed variable known as housing. However, when you look forward, they say what makes people wise in real estate is time. The only thing that makes you wise is time. That you made a decision in this moment to buy. And in 5 years, 10 years, you look like the smartest person in history. People that bought 5 years and 10 years, they're not smart. They just made a decision to buy. And now they've got this wealth sitting in their backyard that they have options with. They could choose to sell and have equity. Equity is the difference between the amount that you owe on a home and the price that you're able to sell it for. So if you bought a home for $100,000 and now it's worth $200,000, you have a unrealized equity, unrealized because you haven't actually sold it, of $100,000. And if you were to sell that home, no, you're not going to be able to find another home for $100,000. But how much did you put down on the first home? Probably 3.5%. 3.5% on a $100,000 home is $3,500. That $3,500 net you a $100,000 return. So now you can turn around and go find a new home, definitely at today's prices, but maybe you can put 20% down. 20% down on $200,000 is still $40,000. I just told you that your equity had $100,000. And maybe you put down more, or maybe you put down more. So the more money that you put down on a home, the lower that your home payment is going to be. That's how you use real estate to change your legacy. I'm very passionate about this. And not just from a status post, not just from let's use it as a hashtag. No, I'm letting you guys know that if generational wealth is a passion for yours, if it's a goal for yours, if it's something that you talk about, then you have to take action. You have to make investments. I think culturally we were taught to save our way to wealth. You can't do that. You can't save your way to wealth. Mathematically, it's impossible. You got to find a vehicle that's going to work in your benefit. So I came on live today, number one, because it is my goal to go live with you guys a little bit more. And I think I've been overthinking it. I've wanted to have the perfect setup and a whole little space and, let's do this. I didn't have time for that. Because in the midst of me wanting to do all of that, I actually don't have the conversations with you guys that you need to have. So I came live today. And I know a couple of you guys tuned in. Maybe you'll watch this later. Maybe it'll show up on your news feed and, it'll be of value to you. Yet, here's what I leave you with. My goal is to help us make educated, informed decisions when it comes to real estate. My goal is to be your trusted resource when it comes to real estate. Period. That is my pledge to you. So if you have a question about real estate, then my ask is that you click on the link in the bio and schedule an appointment for us to talk. Let's have a real conversation, not just questions. Let's actually sit about it. You guys make appointments for your hair to get done. I know because I do it. I set appointments for my hair to get done. But when it comes to building wealth, you want to talk about it in the comments. Let's change the way that we look at things, okay? So the things that we look at can change. I am Chase Sloan. I am your local Houston real estate professional. I specialize in residential, commercial, luxury, and land real estate. If you have any questions about real estate, I am here to answer your questions. I am here to help. And if you're not in Houston, just know that our reach expands throughout the country. So I am happy to make a warm referral for you so that way you know the other person that's on the call, on the side of that phone is actually someone that we trust that can help you with your goals. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, we got your back. I thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you just for your support in doing this live because, again, it's not always easy and it does need to be done. If you catch this later and I'm not on to answer your questions, just send me a DM with your email address and I'll answer you personally right away. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for tuning in. See, I'm not really mad. I just feel like some of you guys would click on it if you saw that as a title. I love y'all dearly. Have a wonderful day.